I never thought a single night could unravel everything I had built with her. We had a routine, a comfortable life, or so I thought. The phone buzzed on the table, a subtle ping that made me pause. She smiled at me, casually, but my instincts screamed something was off. At first, I told myself it was nothing, just work stress, a long day. But the hesitation in her voice, the brief pauses before answering, they all added up. The next morning, I noticed her deleting messages too quickly, hiding the screen when I walked by. It wasn't dramatic yet. Just quiet, subtle, invisible to anyone but me. And then there was him always present, too familiar, too comfortable. My best friend. The man I trusted the most. I tried to convince myself I was imagining things. Maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew that the truth was already there, quietly waiting for me to see it. And once you notice it, there's no going back. Trust, once broken, doesn't return the same way. Days passed, and the unease grew heavier. I began paying attention to every little thing, the way she smiled at him, the inside jokes I didn't understand, the subtle glances that lasted just a second too long. I questioned myself. Was I overthinking? Was this paranoia? No. Deep down, I knew better. One evening, I found her phone unlocked, a conversation that confirmed every fear I had tried to bury. They weren't just friendly, they were intimate in ways that shattered the foundation of my world. I remembered the late nights, the unexplained errands, the way he always seemed to appear when I wasn't looking. Every memory I once cherished now had a new, painful meaning. I realized the betrayal wasn't loud or obvious, it was subtle, patient, and deliberate. It was a quiet, growing storm that consumed everything I thought I knew. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, wondering how someone I loved so much could betray me so completely. And yet, they were smiling, laughing, pretending everything was normal, as if I was the only one who didn't see it. Weeks went by, and I could feel the distance growing. The house felt different. Cold. Unfamiliar. Even simple conversations had a hidden edge, a tension I couldn't ignore. I started noticing patterns: how she would lean closer when he spoke, how she laughed at things I didn't understand. I felt like an intruder in my own life. I tried talking to her, casually at first, asking about her day, about her mood, about us. Her responses were polite, calm, but empty. The warmth I remembered was gone, replaced by rehearsed phrases and avoidance. I tried to ignore it, to focus on work, on friends, on anything but the creeping suspicion. But intuition has its way of breaking through denial. Every glance they shared, every secret laugh, confirmed what I had feared: I was being replaced in the one life I thought was mine. And the worst part? The betrayal wasn't shocking. It was slow, insidious, impossible to fight against without shattering everything else. One night, I returned home earlier than usual. Laughter echoed from the living room, not mine, not shared with me. They paused, smiled, and acted as if nothing had happened. I didn't react. I didn't need to. The room itself told the story I didn't want to hear. Later, alone, replaying months of interactions, I saw it all clearly. The late-night messages, the hidden smiles, the little habits I had dismissed as harmless. Betrayal doesn't need grand gestures. Often, it's quiet, almost invisible. And that invisibility is what makes it deadly. I thought about confronting her, exposing the truth, demanding answers. But confrontation is complicated when the betrayal is layered, subtle, and deliberate. I spent that night writing in my head, rewriting every memory, turning every small detail into evidence. By morning, I knew I couldn't ignore it any longer. The life I thought I had was a facade. A beautiful lie that masked a devastating truth. The following weeks were a blur of observation and silent anguish. I documented moments, small interactions, inside jokes, fleeting touches, everything. I wanted certainty before confronting them. Because once you face betrayal, there's no going back. I caught him in private conversations, the way she looked at him, the ease they had together. And I realized I wasn't just witnessing a single act of betrayal, it was a series of tiny, deliberate acts that cumulatively destroyed trust. I asked myself how I hadn't noticed sooner. Was I blind? Naive? Or simply too trusting? The truth hurt more than any shouting match ever could. I spent nights replaying moments in my mind, analyzing words, gestures, glances. Every memory had a new weight, a new meaning. And with that understanding came a crushing clarity: some bonds, once broken, cannot be repaired. I tried to maintain composure, pretending that nothing was wrong. I spoke to her calmly, asking simple questions. Her eyes avoided mine. Her voice, once warm, was distant and rehearsed. And the worst realization hit me: they didn't fear being caught. They weren't hiding out of shame, they were hiding out of habit, comfort, and calculated precision. It wasn't impulsive, it was patient. I could see the pattern: they had been quietly building a world together that excluded me. Everything familiar became foreign. Even the home we shared felt like someone else's. I wondered if I had ever truly known her, or if I had only imagined the life I thought I had. The weight of betrayal settled in my chest like concrete. And yet, I remained silent, waiting, watching, understanding fully the depth of the deception. Eventually, I realized confrontation was inevitable. But I didn't need anger or accusations. I needed clarity. I needed truth. When I finally spoke, the calm questions, the measured tone, were met with silence. Each unspoken word was louder than anything she could have said. I observed their faces, their eyes, their hesitation. And I understood: there were no explanations that could repair the damage. No apologies, no gestures, no promises. Betrayal had already done its work. It didn't shout. It didn't crash like a storm. It was a quiet erosion, a deliberate dismantling of trust and love, layer by layer. And I had been watching it happen all along. I withdrew from everything familiar. Alone, I replayed memories, dissected interactions, analyzed glances. The silence of the house mirrored the emptiness inside me. Even the air felt heavy, thick with things unsaid. I considered leaving, but a part of me clung to hope: a miracle, an explanation, some way to restore what was lost. But no miracle came. Their actions had already spoken volumes. Betrayal is subtle. It grows quietly, deliberately, patiently. And once you recognize it, it's almost impossible to ignore. I realized I had been living alongside it without permission. And in that realization came both heartbreak and clarity. The choice was mine: endure the pain silently, or take action. I confronted them one final time, calm, composed, seeking honesty. Their eyes avoided mine. Their faces revealed nothing but practiced detachment. No confessions, no remorse, no genuine explanation. I understood that trust, once broken this way, cannot be mended. Years of memories, love, and friendship had been quietly redirected, away from me. Some betrayals are loud, some are quiet. But the quiet ones hurt the most because they slowly infiltrate your life without permission. I chose to leave the illusion behind, to reclaim my life, to prioritize truth over comfort. Leaving was the hardest thing I had ever done. The emptiness afterward was overwhelming. Yet, as days passed, clarity replaced despair. I learned that trust must be earned daily, not assumed. That betrayal can be patient, invisible, relentless, yet undeniable in its consequences. And that sometimes, the only way to survive emotionally is to walk away, even when your heart refuses. Some endings hurt profoundly, but they are necessary. Because survival, self-respect, and truth sometimes demand choices that break your heart. And in the quiet aftermath, I began to understand, losing them was not the end, it was the start of truly finding myself again.